Good evening, everyone. I was listening to a little program tonight by somebody who was talking about some people who had certain traits of governors, or that certain governors possess. Specifically, the individuals were Stalin, Hitler, Margaret Thatcher, and President Woodrow Wilson. And the thesis, I guess you'd say, or the conjecture, or the presumption that the presenter had is that all these people were hubris, or had displayed hubris tendencies. Now, hubris, you probably know, from the ancient Greek means, in the modern context, extreme pride or self-confidence. Hubris often indicates a loss of contact with reality and an overestimation of one's own competence, accomplishments, and capabilities, especially when a person is exhibiting a position of power, or is a person exhibiting it is in a position of power. Now, although it's probably easier to be hubris or to have hubris tendencies if we're a president of some large company or corporation or something like this, especially a country where there's the nature of power is not negotiation, it is the use of force, which is what government is, right? And it tends to have a negative consequence, I would say. Diabolical activities have taken place in the name of national security and so on because of hubris tendencies, partly probably. But we all have, I think, the tendency to be hubristic, if that's the right term, to a self-defeating tendency, I would say. One of the things I notice, and I've heard it mentioned before, is in this so-called freedom movement, people come up with all kinds of claims that they have rights and we have freedoms and all that sort of stuff. And they become very confident in that, to the point of it resulting in expression of that hubris, which is anger, and being pissed off at all the operatives of the system, like cops and what have you, and judges and whatever. And while that is legitimate very often, because of the diabolical deeds done by such persons, I don't know if in most cases it is really beneficial. So somebody can feel very strongly towards something, but if we have the ability to gauge and to moderate our actions, it's probably a bit better. Whereas hubris has this tendency of almost taking us over and directing us in ways of anger and so on, which may not be helpful. They may be helpful in the long run, but in the short term they can get us in a lot of short-term trouble. So I don't know what the solution is for sure. I'm not making any claims to the solution to the hubris tendencies, and I have been hubris at times myself, as well as many people have been, probably, if they're willing to be honest. But I think one of the ways to try to overcome it is to, rather than stand on the stage of claim or knowing something to be true, continue to ask questions and continue to inquire about the validity of our own assertions. Because very often they're false or not complete, right? Because they're based on our perception of the past and how things are. But they may not be. For example, a lot of times we'll say that we have all these rights. Well, do we really? I mean, do we really have the right to life? I mean, to me, if that was true, then how is it possible that somebody could kill us? If we had that right, then it seems like it wouldn't be very possible, right? It's just, I think it's important to examine it. To be in a state, I think humble attitude is almost the opposite of hubris. And a little humility maybe is a stance to take, which is doesn't seem to result in the fiery, almost negative emotions such as anger that can flare up as a result of extreme confidence. Extreme confidence without the solidity of a great degree of certainty. It's just based on, I've got this power, I've got this stance, and therefore it's right. That would be more of a hubristic stance. There is a great degree of confidence when somebody has a very, very well worked out theory or practical solution to something. But in a humble approach, it would be, look, I'm still open to anybody, correcting me. Like, point out where I'm wrong here, sort of attitude. Whereas a hubris stance doesn't ask for that, right? In a way, it's like, hey, you know what? I'm right, take it or leave it. And that nature, I think we were talking about it this evening. We had a coffee chat on remembrance. And there was one gentleman there was talking about how when we have a peaceful attitude, an open attitude, a meditative attitude, and a relaxed attitude and so on, we seem to have this vast capacity to take in other people's opinions and so on and not have them to gyrate us too much. Whereas we're full up in our certainty and our mind and our emotional triggers and so on are all bound up at the limit. Any drop of countervailing theories or opinions and so on can just fire something really bad. And that's probably why you saw guys like Stalin and so on who were just like a firewire all the time, looking around to see who they can shoot next, and my way or the highway kind of thing. So I think for our own quality of life, it is important to check our hubris tendencies once in a while. Both look at them, but also check them. Check meaning to sort of bypass them, get rid of them some way by attempting to come on to a more humble approach of just, hey, is my approach accurate? Not necessarily asking anybody else, but asking ourselves, where is it that I could possibly be off here? Surely I don't have all the answers, even for my own assertions. So, and that leaves an open mind. It's always putting everything on the table for further inquiry and openness to others to here's what I have. What do you think? Is it sound? Just like what I'm saying tonight. Is what I'm saying sound? And by all means, if you got a comment that says, hey, Steve, you're completely off base with this hubris thing. If you say that, by all means, help me by putting your few cents or many dollars worth in terms of words. And I'll definitely be appreciative of it right below in the comment box. Once again, Steve here with a few comments on what I think about the tendency of hubris to affect our quality of life, probably in the negative sense. So therefore, probably a more humble and relaxed, questioning approach, stance of humility, openness to humility, is a better stance for long-term satisfaction and quality of life. Once again, hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk again soon.